Alright, so this is my NAS build. It's based on an Optiplex 790, and this is the box in its stock configuration. First thing we're going to do is start disassembly, so we're going to pull the DVD burner out of the way. We're going to leave it in the case at the end, but we're just don't need it in the way right now. We're not going to have it plugged in, though, because we rapidly run out of ports. And then there's this little pull tab, and then that whole drive key changes out and lets you both insert and exfiltrate drives, and it also gives you access to the system memory, which is quite handy. I don't end up changing the memory in this build. It came with 8 gigs of RAM. That seems fine for FreeNAS. The SSD already has FreeNAS installed on it from a previous build. The hard drives already have their ZFS partitions on them and working from previous FreeNAS build. I've literally pulled out some of the drives and I'm just building a smaller, lighter weight FreeNAS. You can see off to the left, I've got another hard drive cage made by Thermaltake. It's because everything is not going to fit in this case. This case is not going to get closed, unfortunately. So initially I had this great idea that I was going to be able to stick the SSD in this slot that was going to live there and be happy. Unfortunately, it's just very hard to attach. So in this build, you will observe me attempting for some time to get this SSD secured and operating in that space. At the end of the day, one of the two 6 terabyte attaches goes in there. I'm really happy with those drives. They're high capacity, reasonably fast. They do have one downside, which is that they are enterprise drives, and they are very clicky. You can hear the clicking from across the room. On a quiet day, I can hear the clicking from the garage when I'm inside the house. The garage is attached to the house for reference, but it's still a little ridiculous that you can hear them clicking. They are not quiet. So that's why my laboratory is in the garage in the first place. So this is I'm attempting to secure this whole setup, and it just isn't quite working the way I'd like. At the end of the day, all of this is for naught. I haven't edited this recording at all. This is just raw what I did to make the build to build this Frankenstein NAS box on the cheap. In Canadian prices, the 120 gig solid state drive or 240 gig solid state drive is basically like $30, and then the Dell came with not any drives, and it was $100. 8 gigs of RAM, Core i3, 3220 or 3210 or something. It's basically a pretty junky dual core hyper-threaded old Core i3, but plenty fast enough for FreeNAS. FreeNAS does not mind. And so as I said, at the end of the day, all of this fiddling with the SSD is for naught. I end up stuffing one of the big attaches in there, stuffing the other one in the drive cage, and calling it a day, and saying that's plenty for a starting FreeNAS setup, for a lightweight little FreeNAS setup. That's just an old SSD that I have had kicking around for a while. I may reinstall FreeNAS because I've broken the dashboard in the construction of this build, but so the FreeNAS no longer has a dashboard. It works fine, but it just doesn't have the pretty dashboard, and I want that. I'm going to try and attach this hard drive on nicely, properly. I think I have rethreaded this hard drive from using the wrong kind of screws on it. But that's neither here nor there. This hard drive case is actually exceptionally fiddly to work with, because it doesn't like come apart and let you just mount the drives and then put the sides of the drive cage on. I have a second drive cage sitting right beside me, actually, that just has some screws and some metal on metal slot action that allows you to pull the drive cage out of the chassis with just 2 screws, which is quite nice. Now these are not the screws used for mounting it in the CD drive bays, like in the 6-inch bays. It just has 2 screw holes on the bottom, which you typically won't have access to, but it's nice because it does separate the two layers of sidewall versus this Thermaltake one with this really irritating layers. All right, so that's together. The drive cage is together with the SSD mounted in it. It's not quite the way I'd recommend doing this. But again, I didn't really have great options because Dell just doesn't really provision for this very well. What I did end up doing eventually is the SSD is just free falling, like just floating about in the case, I think, at the end of the day. Not a big deal. It's an SSD. It's not like it has moving parts. Yeah. So that's what we end up doing at the end. So this is, it's very difficult to get the connectors in. And there's cable length problems, and it's kind of awful. And so we're just gonna slot that guy back in forcefully, and oh, there go the cable ties. Wonderful. And then this cable tie is in the way of everything. Yeah, you can see where this went poorly. But the drive cage itself actually has a bunch of holes in the bottom that could be used to more easily mount a 2.5-inch drive in there, just without this piece of blue plastic. I would not touch the piece. I would take the piece of blue plastic out and throw it out, and just use the square holes in the bottom of the drive cage with a washer. That would be sufficient and much more effective than this. Alright, so we're going to try and slot that guy back in, and the little plastic clip gets stuck on the power supply cables because there's not quite enough space for that to actually be like super smooth and handle really well. Again, just Dell really pushing the limits of how small they can physically make this, so there's just not enough clearance. Another like 1/4 inch would have made a huge difference there, and could have easily been achieved in my opinion. And so now we have a problem. I've used the very shortest cable, which is actually supposed to be for the DVD drive, and it doesn't reach to this slot because it is exactly the length the DVD drive needs. Quite upsetting. So, yeah, we're going to pull that whole setup out, and it's now going to take forever to just switch to the right cable because everything's zip-tied. Pro tip, don't use zip ties because they're annoying, and yeah, so now that's sort of causing the plastic bay to stick in and not work very well. Super fun. Yeah, so we've got to pull that cable, and then later we're going to find out that we just don't want that drive in there, and screw that. Okay, so we freed the SSD. Great. Maybe we'll just attach it where the DVD drive was. This also eventually just gets changed to... This is attempt number 2 to mount the SSD somewhere reasonably, preferably attached. At the end of the day, it's just free floating in the case, which is maybe awkward, but whatever, it works. But I mean, we end up with a big ball of power supply cables floating free, and so it's not a big deal. But yeah, we've got a little screw hole here we can attach the drive with under the DVD bay. It's a little bit challenging here because I need my hands to work. I need both hands in order to like attach that. One to hold it and one to do the screwing. Yeah, so this This doesn't end up working out, but it's a good idea. Just get a screw holding an SSD in. That's all. It doesn't even need that. I've seen actually like servers with just a bunch of SSDs just sort of shoved into a hard drive bay, just like 4 or 5 little SSDs just hanging out in a hard drive bay. That's supposed to hold like 2-3.5 inch hard drives, and they're just rattling around as as they do. So that's not unreasonable. So yeah, we're going to attach it in like one orientation and then rotate it into place and there. So that's a lot nicer. But as I said, I don't end up sticking with this, and there are 2 reasons. 1, I actually want to just stick the DVD drive back in. 2, it's really hard to connect power supply cables without clearance on both top and bottom. Speaking of power supply cables, guess what's in the way again? Alright, so we clear those and get the little plastic guy pushed in. Click. Now we're good and attached. And that SATA cable can almost reach. Not quite. Check the directionality and eventually stick it into the closest port after some fiddling. So the motherboard has exactly 3 ports on it, which is exactly the minimum you need to run FreeNAS. Well, assuming you're using an internal SSD like this, which I highly recommend over a USB key, because just USB keys some are okay manufacturing-wise, and some are not. And I don't trust them, and I don't want to fiddle with FreeNAS more than I need to, so really an internal SSD is just worthwhile, because it'll outlast almost any it'll outlast a wide variety of USB keys, and just the internal SSDs are just much better built devices. And they are internal and safe and can't just snap off trivially. So we're going to take off a back... we take off a slot cover with the idea that we're going to hide a hard drive on the back of the case, and we're just going to screw it in using that grid of stuff. Using the mesh grid. And so we're going to use an extender here, like a splitter. Unfortunately, me not realizing, the splitter takes 1 Molex and produces 2 SATA. It doesn't take a SATA and produce 2 SATAs. So that's awkward. So that's basically, like, I don't have 3 SATA power adapters for the 3 drives I need, so that's a rip. We're going to need a power supply. That power supply is going to need a power supply, so I pulled a power supply in. And we're going to try and just put the case on here just so you can see the work occurring, but it ends up the computer just falls off the power supply it's sitting on. And we end up level on the floor. So, getting this stupid plastic shield that it's just an intake shield for the power supply. That's a big power supply. We're going to leave it mounted in. We're going to leave it mounted in the case so that if I ever repurpose this machine back to being a small desktop machine, I don't have to go hunting for its power supply. Same reason the DVD burner gets left, at the end of the day, gets left in the case, is because I really don't want to fiddle. I really don't want to go find that. And oh yeah, every time that comes up or down, that cable is so short, the SATA cable is so short that you have to unplug it if you ever fiddle with the other drive there. So, more points off of Dell's design for that when it's like 2 inches, guys. 2 inches would let that come up, and then you could like rotate it around to sit on top of the power supply or on top of the turbine fan, and you could therefore make it work really nicely, but you could work on it like sitting on top of the other parts without unplugging. But yeah, it's just too short to quite make that happen. Oh, that could be caused by using an SSD there instead of a DVD drive. I still don't think that quite would let me do that without unplugging it. All right, so now we're going to try and pull, now that we've got those parts out of the way, we can try and pull the power supplies connectors out. The motherboard connector is ferociously tight on this box, and there's no space around it on one side. Like on the top, there's nothing. Like in between in between the plug and the power supply, there's no space. So it's a very fiddly process to get that thing pulled. It sort of feels like it was inserted by a big machine or something. It's that tight of a plug. So that's finally off, and woohoo, 2 inches of cable there. Versus my ancient Enermax, which has like 2 feet of cable, which is way overkill for this build, and actually causes some issues later. It's just sort of a massive ball of cables. It is a modular power supply, but I've got all the modular cables on it for sort of the same logic as before. I have a big bin of computer parts, and I don't want to like get a bunch of like modular cables mixed up or something, so I've got the policy of just like attaching all the modular cables to things, with the exception of the 1,000-watt power supply in my main tower, because there's enough wires for that to fill my tower with wires for no reason. And I'm just not plugging in 6 GPUs and don't need that power. So yeah, so we've got the CPU power connected. We've got the other power connected there. The 2 fans are both powered off motherboard headers. Sort of like the ATX 12 volt spec that's coming in right now in 2020, where it's like, oh, everything gets powered off the motherboard. That's your only connector, and everything else just lives off the motherboard. As a like a cost cutting measure, it makes a lot of sense in these sort of fixed form factors. And like the savings really do get passed on to you with the prices of these small form factor cases, especially if you're willing to be abusive with them. So I guess if someone else were to try and build this, you'd need a PCI Express to PCI Express splitter, or you'd need to have a power supply kicking around that you're willing to just have sit on top of a computer. But yeah, the now that I've got a power supply involved, we are definitely using that hard drive cage. There is definitely no chance that this stuff is going to fit in the box or even vaguely around the box. It's going to be a Frankenstein now. It wasn't planned quite that way. So yeah, we're going to get that piece of plastic, that plastic shroud back in, because again, we don't want to lose the Dell bits. So everything I sort of want either physically attached to this machine or tossed. Like just straight up thrown out, because I just don't need more junk. Not in my life. And certainly not in this build. So we've now got lots of power connectors. So we've completely disconnected the Dell power supply, but it's still in the box. It's still in its case. Soon we're gonna put hard drives, and we're gonna get all the drives where they're supposed to be, and deal with all that. And oh yeah, because we're no longer doing anything out the back, we can put the that expansion slot cover back in at some point. So we're going to try and get these hard drives plugged in. SATA connector is always fun. Every time you put it in the first time, it's backwards. And I have a 90-degree connector. Super irritating. I've never actually found great places for the 90-degree connectors. They seem to just be in the way most of the time, where I'd rather just have a straight connector. But I am a fan of large cases and having a fair number of drives, like having very full cases and very bulky cases, so side effect of that, I suppose. The 90-degree connectors are just not useful for me. Alright, so I've got a lot of, like, messy power supply wires all over the place. You'll see the power supply sort of sitting not that close, and the hard drive cage is on the other side of the case, and not that close, and everything just kind of reaches. Power supply was purchased for a case that was ginormous and had a power supply. The power supply was very, very far from the motherboard, It's an old Supermicro S103 Supercube. You have fun finding one of those if you look it up. They're not easy to locate. That's more or less where that's going to sit. It's just going to sit on top of that turbine fan, and like that looks like a good spot for that, for the hard drive cages to sit. That's more or less where it ends up at the end of the day. It doesn't really move very far. Then hey, maybe the power supply will sit here on top of the SSD. Well, it wiggles a bit, but it does give me a nice gap in between the two of them to like shove all those power supply wires, which, as discussed, enormously long, 2 foot. Like the ATX wire is 2 feet, just brutal. Perfect for the application I bought it for, but little silly in this build. So those hard drives aren't really that well attached. So skipped a bit. Yeah, we're gonna put a hard drive right in the right inside the case, in where we have a properly super well attached hard drive slot on the rubber, with some rubber and some plastic and some slottiness. So yeah, that's gonna go right in there. Right in there. Sorry, this is a little bit off screen. I wasn't paying too much attention with the camera work, as I'm sure you've noticed by now. There. See, I think I'm holding something out in front of the camera, but I've missed by a few degrees. Then we slot that puppy in. There we got the hard drive in the cage, and the cage in the other cage. And now we're going to try and get this wall of cables like mounted up properly. Everything has to be plugged in before it goes down, basically, because it's impossible to plug anything in once it's down in the case. It's just nestled. And this is just cable hell, basically. So I'm actually just going to pull the 12 volt out, just like the CPU power out, because it's just in the way. Everything is just so long, and it's been curled up. All these wires have been super curled up for so long. So we're going to try and hide that sort of underneath the drive cage. Get it out of the way. Just because I really don't want to fiddle with. Like, I want so sort of tucked in nicely if I can. So there's actually clips for that thing to go on. So I do end up later sort of retucking that guy in nicely. We're gonna pull out some wires, and yeah. So this process does take a bit longer than I'd like. I think I can do builds faster than this if I plan a little better. It's much simpler if I've just got a case to mount things in and am not experimentally trying to find ways to mount all of the gear I want. So yeah, the SSD has been detached from its spot. I've now determined that I must in fact put that DVD drive where it belongs, and I'll just leave the SSD floating. And there we go, got all the wires out of the way. Click. And there we go, the SSD has a little hidey hole there at the back of the drive cage and in front of the turbine fan. I can't unplug this SATA cable. Why can't I unplug this SATA cable? Clips. It has a metal clip on it. Because, of course, it has a metal clip. I'm not a huge fan of those clips. They're really quite irritating and have only rarely saved me, as far as I can tell. Yeah, clips. Super annoying. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is I'm just sort of swapping which sides are where and rearranging the cables so to make sure the SSD has the 6-gig connection, and then the 3-gig connections are going to have the hard drives on them because they're never going to burst 3 gigs other than solidly from cache, and that won't burst. That will try to burst over 3 gigs, but not for a sufficiently long period of time for it to like make a huge overall latency difference. And latency is what controls your how your disks feel in terms of speed, more than raw speed. So I'm gonna see, hey, does this mount sideways? End up not doing that. End up putting it vertically. Well, at this point, I still wasn't sure if this computer was going to how this computer was going to sit. And ideally, hard drives are sitting with their spindle pointing straight up, so completely level is ideal for them, because if they're on angles or they're sitting vertical and stuff, they just wear like the machinery will wear asymmetrically, and they won't have the same sort of lifespan that they advertise. Now, we are just going to ignore the fact that one of these drives spent 6 months of its life sitting vertically, and the other one spent 6 months of its life sitting horizontally. So one of them is going to die first, and I don't remember which one it is. But that may actually be a handy thing, because they are less likely to die together in a heap. But yeah, so we're just going to try and get this drive screwed in nicely. Again, irritating drive cage, double walls that you have to like sneakily get a screw in through, and I don't have magnetic bits. Well, I do have magnetic bits, but I don't have magnetic bits here. And look at that, there's a perfect spot to attach. Oh, to attach a zip tie. We're just going to slide through that little hole. Perfect. Let's get the other one in before we tighten anything. And so we're going to try and slide this other one in. This one's a little bit weirder, a little bit stranger, this one. Still far from the strangest zip tie that we're going to be doing. And that is a raw edge up there, the like chamfered corner. That is not a rolled steel edge. So given enough time, that raw edge, like given enough wear and stress, that raw edge will cut the zip tie. I don't anticipate that. Oh, I did slide it up to the rolled edge. The top of that's rolled. The side, that chamfer corner, is just raw Amakachia steel. But it still might, like, these zip ties is not super solid. I wouldn't take this sort of build on the road or something. This is great for something fixed in place. So that's almost solid enough. I can almost pick up the computer from this spot. The drive cage certainly doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. So I've got my DVD drive with its plastic cover. Snap, in it goes. There we go, front fascia complete. I have all of the bits that the computer originally came with, except for the side panel. Yeah, so now we have the challenge of how do I attach the power supply eventually, and how do I get this side of the hard drive cage wired down, like ratcheted down, so that vibrations and stuff will carry and be handled properly. So that's the goal. So we're going to try a couple of things. We're going to see how this goes. It doesn't need to be perfect because the other side is really well held on, so I just need to get like enough pressure to put the metal under tension, so that it's like, so the vibrations carry. Because once everything's tensed, the vibrations are going to carry really smoothly. And therefore the whole mass of the rig will deaden the hard drive vibration, which is really good, better for the hard drive than it just being loose. anyone who tells you hard drives are fine just being loose on their own and shaking around is crazy. That's not good for the drives. Not good for their lifespan. I mean, you might be talking about taking a motor that's going to outlive its controller board from, like, for 30 years to outliving its controller board by an average of 10 years. And maybe that makes no actual difference in failure rates because all the controller boards have died by then. Because the controllers have much lower lifespans than the spindles of the motors at this point. It is possible for the rotors to die if they're, like, for the little brushless motors to perish, but it's not as common as it used to be. The tiny micro brushless motors are really, really sturdy at this point, and have extremely long lifespans with more or less immortal bearings, as evidenced by 30-year-old computer fans that just don't care and are still running. So yeah, what we're doing now is I'm tucking in the zip ties into the little tiny gap between the case and the drive bays. So this should, again, deaden a bit of vibration, put a little bit more tension on, and help us use the whole mass of the case to help deaden hard drive vibrations and clicks. Because again, I can hear these hard drives from the garage, in several places in my house. It's quite audible if someone is accessing files. You can hear those enterprise hard drives clicking because they're designed for a data center. Turns out, choices were made. So it's quite a fiddly job to get them tucked in there nicely. I think that's about as tucked in as those are going to get. I'm not quite sure why I go into this in so much detail. So yeah, that front piece is actually made for holding a case fan on, but I don't have a fan for it, and I don't have the need for it. So I'm really just going to sort of squirrel away these wires if I can. And no, wait, I can use one wire to squirrel away the other wire quite elegantly. And this gets them both out of the way and tucked nicely. But unfortunately, on the right-hand side, you can see what we are going to refer to from now on as the rat's nest, which is the power supply wires. It's just a disaster. All those cables are like 2 or 3 feet long. They're all just brutally large, and there's no need for that much cable length in such a tiny build. Now, we're almost done the build now. We're almost finished. I do end up rotating that power supply and attaching the side panel to the top with more zip ties in order to just keep the dust out. You can see the final build now. So yeah, rotate the power supply. There's actually a screw in the back corner to hold it in right in the center, about in the center of the build. And that enables me to actually pick up this whole build with a power supply, which is cool. I did kind of tuck the cabling in, the rat's nest in a little bit.